Mr. President, thank you very much for the nice introduction. It's good to be with all of you. This is one of the best things of the year that I'm privileged to come to. I feel at home with you. I think we share most all values, and it's always a great time to see the folks from home. So I'm glad you swam here. Goodness, I've never seen such water, and it's tragic. We've got so many people displaced, so many roads that are washed away, and mudslides and rock slides and the like. The governor, as you know, has asked for a declaration of emergency, a disaster declaration. The Kentucky delegation, we will all sign on to that, urging the president to approve the disaster monies that we desperately need to fix roads and streets and washed out properties. Mr. President, this is my 39th breakfast. And as I said before, it's one of the highlights for me because I enjoy being with you. We do a tour of the Capitol for those that want to go from my district. Sometimes we have people from other districts that join me, and that's great. So at noon, I think it is, the staff of the Farm Bureau and my staff are working to take us on a tour of the Capitol. I'll be going with you and pointing out some things along the way. So I hope you can come. This is really for my district, but as I said before, we always have people from other parts of the state that want to join in, and that's altogether fitting. I'm so proud of your president and my president. Mark Haney has done a terrific job as the leader of this great organization, and I'm really pleased that he is on this kick of pushing broadband cable. And that's a natural for this organization, statewide. It is destined to improve the rural parts of Kentucky. And the Kentucky Wired Project, which I had the privilege of being one of the original promoters of, is on its way. It's slow as a snail, and it's hit a lot of snags along the way, but this is something we've never done before anywhere in the world, is have a public-private built communications network. But I'm convinced that Kentucky Broadband, the broadband in Kentucky, is our chance to be a part of this world. When you sign up and become hooked onto this program, when that time comes, we will be able to sell our products, sell our talent like never before. So I salute you, Mr. President, for pushing broadband. That's a natural for this organization. Let me know how I can help in any way. But this president's done a great job for you. A lot of work, a lot of time on the road, visiting with you across this state. But I am pleased with what he's doing, pleased as apple pie. Which reminds me, I've got to have my fix of that fried apple pie, which is the best in the world, and what a great place. I hope you have a chance to visit that orchard out there when you get a chance. Well, Congress looks a bit different now than it did the last time we were together here, but I'm proud to say that we were able to push through before the finish of the last Congress a long-term farm bill, which you had a lot to do with. The farm bureaus across the country were of great help, and this bill will give, I think, some degree of certainty for the next 5 years, something that you need, we need. Bill includes record investments in rural infrastructure, strong support for the farm safety net, new tools to help address this terrible opioid epidemic that's sweeping our country. We're losing thousands of people a year in this country to opioid overdoses. Earlier this month, we also passed the annual appropriations bill to make all of these programs and others a reality. Over $1.7 billion for different farm and conservations and the emergency loan program, so important to farmers in our state and around the country. $3.6 billion for USDA's rural development programs, which your president and the Farm Bureau in Kentucky is working to access, including $625 million just for infrastructure investments. In a meeting with your leadership yesterday afternoon, I was very pleased to renew the talk with you on your focus on rural broadband deployment and connectivity. I'm with you on that. We'll help you any way that we can. And I urge you to urge the state to speed up their efforts to get Kentucky Wired finished. They've got 1,000 miles now of cable in operation or on the poles. They're headed toward 3,000, but it's 2 years behind schedule. And I'm urging the governor and his staff to continue their work to make it happen right away. In the East Kentucky coal fields, we're desperate. We've lost practically all of the coal jobs that we had there, and we're desperately searching for something else. A way to make a living, stay home, take care of the family, pay the rent, pay the mortgage, and the like. And broadband gives us the possibility of making some good things happen. And so I salute you for your investment in that program. For example, we have worked to establish a dozen or so what they call telework hubs in East Kentucky that provide training for job seekers in customer service, digital literacy, and tech support. They include fully equipped workstations that can accommodate hundreds of teleworkers. Many of these hubs are hosting workers who work out of their home, many of them disabled. So it's a new opportunity for small communities, especially in rural areas of Kentucky, to latch on to this new world in which we find ourselves living. The Farm Bill authorized $600 million in new money for rural broadband. And the fiscal 19 appropriations package that I told you about builds on that momentum, including an additional $550 million for the rural broadband loan and grant program. And I urge you to look into the possibilities there. I'm hopeful that these very large chunks of federal funds will enhance and complement the efforts already underway through the Kentucky Wired program. As I said, we've built 1,000 miles. We need to go to 3. Challenges ahead. We've got a lot of them. First, we must ensure that we have a plan to keep our roads, bridges, ports strong so that you can focus on doing what you do best, and that's raise plentiful crops for export. So I'm hopeful that Congress can finally come together on a long-term infrastructure plan in the near term. Also watching closely the ongoing talks between the President and the Chinese President, on our trade relationship. I know we've seen a sharp drop-off in the quantity of ag products that we're shipping over there, and that's been difficult for a lot of farmers to manage. I'll work to prioritize USDA's market facilitation program and other accounts that can help you make you whole. And that's especially true in the soybean industry. Finally, we need to keep up the pressure against unnecessary regulation, red tape, that all of you face every day. We're rolling back a lot of the red tape that's been put on us in the past in order to let the free market system work. And it does work. And we'll continue that efforts. When I first came to this breakfast 39 years ago, as the President says, we go by seniority as we talk. Well, I was the tail end. And up would get Senator D. Huddleston. He would orate for a good while, and then Wendell Ford would take the mic, and he would hammer at it, carry on. Then Carl Perkins would take the mic. Then Bill Natcher and Larry Hopkins, Carol Hubbard would all speak. Gene Snyder. Finally, it came my turn, and by that time, everything had been said. And I was searching around for something to say. And it got sort of partisan. This was in the days of President Reagan. And Wendell Ford and D. Huddleston didn't cotton too much to what President Reagan said or did. So they would hammer him pretty hard. And I finally blew my stack. Because after they had hammered him for a long while, it came my turn to speak. And I had never said anything critical of our senators until then. And I unloaded on Wendell Ford. Well, from that point in time on, he and I became good friends. And I think it was that he just liked to shoot back, liked for me to shoot back at him, which I did finally, and we became workers, although we were different parties. We still worked together for Kentucky projects. But it's been a great long series of breakfasts, and the passing days, I see different people come to this, but I think the President told me that around half of you are here for the first time. Is that right? How many are here for the first time? Well, that's terrific. Is this a record crowd?
It's pretty close. Yeah, it's
well,
320.
320. That's terrific. Well, it's good to be with you. During the day, as we get together, if I can answer a question on some policy matter or whatever, let me know. In the meantime, we'll take you on a tour of the Capitol and have a good time. God bless you.